We spent all week at Impression 5 testing the Grand River and creating this film to share with y'all.
Yes, here we are at the Grand River, but in order to understand the Grand River properly, first we must go back to ancient times. No, too far. Who hired you? No, the other ancient times, the 70s.
Growing public awareness and concern for controlling water pollution led to enactment of the Clean Water Act of 1972. The act established the basic structure for regulating discharges of pollutants into the waters of the United States.
More recent studies show that water quality in the Grand River has significantly improved near the Lansing wastewater treatment plant.
Urban land use makes up approximately 34% of the watershed and is mainly located within the city of Lansing.
What's a watershed?
Isn't a watershed like where there's some water in a shed?
Actually, a watershed is like a tilted bowl in the landscape.
Within that shallow bowl, water gathers and flows downhill, ultimately to a common outlet at lowest elevation.
Wherever you live,
Wherever you go,
you are in a watershed. Excellent is 2 thumbs up. Good is 1 thumb up. Okay is thumb to the side. Bad or poor is thumb down. In addition to finding all sorts of creatures and things in the water, we also found a bunch of trash in the water, like this, Doritos bag right here. There's trash in the water. And then over here to the right, by the boat, we have this like film stuff on the water, which might be mixed with some of the oil over there. You can't really see that though. So, yeah, there's that film there too, which definitely isn't clean. So.
take a lot of pictures of the river. So, matter of fact, I'd probably take a picture a day of that river.
Yes.
Not really.
Yes, it does. For the part of fishing, which I'm an avid fisherman, and I do use the river a lot. It's easy access. I live where I live about 300 yards from the river, so I can walk there. It's relaxing, it's soothing. And when my son was little, that's why I first taught him how to fish.
For him, it's just nature. We just enjoy seeing the river like this. You know, there's a lot of people, they use it for recreation like
once in a while we come down to the river, walk, we ride our bikes down, see the ducks swimming, but I wouldn't get in the river. I used to back in the 60s and 70s, but I wouldn't now.
We're dammed up at both ends right here. We could use it to canoe here, but they do have a little pontoon boat that they take out for little cruises in the evening and things like that. We hold common ground down here on the river.
People love to come out and just be around the river. They'll get something to eat, go sit down, have their lunch by the river, and it's soothing, it's tranquil. They can rest. The digestive works a lot easier.
I guess fair.
No, not good.
Fair
not good
or
at all. Poor. Very poor.
And why do you say that?
Well, you look across the street, or across the river right here, and you'll see three big drains that lead right into the river from the street. So all the motor oil and antifreeze and whatever else gets thrown out of people's car windows ends up getting washed down those drains and right into the river.
I would say.
Being that I have been using this river since 1959, 1960, I can see where the river has made a great change. It's 100% better than what it was in the 60s and 70s. There's always still room for improvement, but it's doing a lot better than what it was. I give it a good.
This used to be a toxic dump site right here. All this ground used to be just a railroad track running through here where all the main thoroughfare of all the trains going through Lansing, carrying all the garbage and General Motors waste and everything else was dumped right here. And over the last 20 years, it's really cleaned up.
People are dumping in it, pollution, there's tires, junk, garbage, people just throwing everything into the river. No one's taking care of the river yet. It used to be taken care of back in the 60s and 70s, now it's just nowadays no one cares about it. I mean, I can taste the difference in the fish from now and then. It's got a stronger taste to it.
Well, earlier, I'm saying the 50s and the 60s, probably the 70s. One is the EPA. They've been more aggressively making sure you have the companies running their waste through the water. During the 50s and 60s, that you had Oldsmobile was dumping. There was some companies that just had their runoff going to the river. Now the river has a copper color to it. That's basically because there's so much iron ore in the Grand River from Lake Michigan all the way through here to Lansing. Yes, it is.
I don't think it's healthy.
Like to see some changes.
You'd like to see some changes?
Yeah.
What would you like to see change?
Sometimes we can see fishes. Sometimes it's very dirt water. Sometimes it's flow is very high.
Whenever you see water that does not produce insects from the water, what they call the water skimmers on around from even mosquitoes or any type of bug that naturally reproduce on the water, you have a healthy ecosystem.
No, not at all. I wouldn't spend any time swimming in it if I were you.
It makes me feel at times it's towards it's going from good to bad. That's what I feel.
The river here is so shallow that and the muck and the mud and everything else contains heavy metals, which are very toxic. It contains arsenic and things like that that were used at General Motors for chroming bumpers and things like that are no longer allowed. But it still stays in the soil that's underneath the river. So getting it out of there, we'd have to completely dredge the river, get down to the clean soil, and then it's not really the water that's dirty, it's the soil underneath the water that holds all the contaminants.
Hey Matt, what'd you find today?
We found a crayfish. Not really.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a fishing lure.
I had lots of fun today. We found a great deal of stuff. We found a fake crayfish, which was a fishing lure, and we found a midge and a whole lot of little creatures.
Cool. And do you think that since we found a turtle and a fish in the water, that the water is good quality?
Yeah, I think it's good quality because, well, it could be doing a little better because of all the factories and stuff right on the river. But yeah, I think it's pretty good quality.
Well, apparently we found a scud. Oops. And we found some mayfly larvae, which means our stream is at least a 1 thumbs up. Because it wasn't a flathead mayfly.
Oh, did we find some fish?
Yes, and we also found a bluegill, and we even found the offspring of a soft-shelled turtle. So this stream is not as bad as we all think it is, really.
So,
Do we have a tail? That's awesome.
oh, I think I found it.
And he is going to do the dangerous task of collecting random stuff that could just contain duck droppings in a jar. The daring samples.
inside your lower intestine.
These are our samples, and now we have to wait.
So I'm going to go take these samples to the lab where they will be incubated, and we're going to leave them there for about 24 hours. We're going to bring them back tomorrow to check and see if there's any E. coli in our river samples. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoop up the water, we're going to take it back to the lab, and then we're going to test it to see if the water has a high conductivity and if it's turbid. And then that will tell us a little bit more if the river is clean or not. All right, so after yesterday, where do we kind of think that the river is? With
Like,
sort of.
I think like Sean's also got this huge motorboat, and then we always go fishing and like catch outrageously huge fish. That used to freeze this, it's fine.
Alright, that's all we had to speed up for, so.
It's urban.
Side a little more.
But right now, all we can say is that there's E. coli in the river.
Is there a top?
No, they're all throughout the sample.
Yeah, it looks like it's glowing yellow on the surface.
Right.
E. coli is a bacteria that's found normally in the intestines. It also is in waste, and we tested the river water for E. coli, and we found some, which is really bad because that means that there's waste in the river water.
The visual assessment is what you infer after the first glance at a river. Like if it's dirty, if it isn't, if it is polluted, if it isn't, and so on.
Turbidity is like the amount of particles in the water, and a very high turbidity can like clog up like fish and stuff's gills, and also like make it hard for them to see.
DO, or dissolved oxygen, is the level of oxygen dissolved in the water. Without enough dissolved oxygen, the fish would kind of be something like that.
When we test for conductivity, we are testing to see if the particles in the water are electrically charged.
Macroinvertebrates are small living organisms that are not microorganisms, but are rather close, like krill and other things that we commonly call water bugs. They generally swim in the water, and some of them metamorphosize into what we know as dragonflies and mayflies and damselflies. And it is important because some are very sensitive to pollution and can only live in almost perfect water. Others, you could put them in any kind of water and they could most likely survive.
pH is the acidity of the water. 1 is very acidic and 14 is basic, or very basic, and we want 7, which is neutral.
On the first day, I gave the river a fair. And now, after all of our tests are done, I would still give the river a fair.
get a shot. I don't want to get shot. You realize it's not recording?
It is. Crap. What? This is ruined.
That was still... That was... Freddy.
Wait.
Perfect.
Not me. Kind of. Nope, yeah. Turbidity, with that, what we're going to do is we're going to see how many particles are in the water, how clear it is.
Look, the ducks are picking in the net.
Yep, so what we need
Guess
to
it
do...
helps them get easier food.
We got to get a plan together for this boat.
On the first day, I gave the river's health a fair.
On the first day, I gave the...
Knock her on the
Did you again? Freddy, we don't need your opera singing.
NBA, National Basketball Association.
Fail.
Interesting.
Epic. Fail.